Hey, it's Steve with the Wilmes Risk Control Show and Matt Kita. We're here, we're back, and we're doing an episode, a little deeper dive on this social media and using it as a notification procedure for your emergency events. I get it. Matt loves social media.
Oh yeah, all day. That's all I do. I'm just
Sometimes I
on.
think that's all you do. If it was called fantasy football social media, then it would be a different story.
Yeah, that's no comment.
Yeah, no comment. That's right. No comment. Yeah. So we're working on a blog post where we can really lay all this information out for you. But what I really wanted to jump into here was following up on the Lahaina Maui wildfire that has killed so many people. And again, hearts and thoughts and prayers are going out to those folks. But
Yeah.
following up on this, using social media as your primary messaging tool is really it's a fallacy. It's a failure in your thought process. And quite frankly, it's a failure in your emergency operations. And so what I've done, Matt, and you've kind of looked at the data, and you better explain all this when it comes to the data.
Right.
I'm good at the statistics, but go ahead and give our viewers and listeners a little bit of information on the stats that I pulled out on this data. And our latest stat is according to 2021. So not too far back, but sure, more people are on it, but are they really?
Right. Right. And the answer is they have access to it. That's what the numbers say to me. Now, are they paying attention to it? That's a whole other matter. But consider that we have about 330 million people in the U.S., right, Steve?
Right.
If you just assume, and this, by the way, is not, it is perhaps a careless assumption that no kids under 10 have cell phones, because I actually know of families that have given their kids cell phones that early, but we're not going to talk about that. Let's assume that
But you just did talk about it, so you are talking about it.
I am talking about it. Okay. Boy,
No, you're right. So one of the numbers we're trying to figure out here is how many people actually have a cell phone. And
right.
When we look at how many people have a cell phone, we would say, yeah, generally around 10 years old in this day and age, most of these kids are getting cell phones. But that being said, it's still a short percentage of the ones that do have it. And,
right.
Right. So
it's about 250 million. Yeah. There are about 250 million individuals who are 10 years or older in the United States by most recent census data. Yeah. So
we can say, if we're going to put a number to it, approximately there's 250 million cell phone users out there. If we're putting a number to it, is that what we're trying to say here?
We are. And by the way, it should be noted that the actual number of cell phone subscriptions in the United States is somewhere in the number of 300 to 400 million. So yes, even higher than the actual population of the U.S. because people have multiple cell phones, for various different uses. So it's hard to pin down, but I'd say that I'm confident in saying that there's a high saturation of cell phone use in the American population.
Absolutely. Absolutely there is. But now we have to break that down into social media, right?
We do.
So we're just going to take the number 250, because if we do use the 331 million total population number, what we're looking at there is, okay, then it gets even smaller social media use.
Right, exactly. But we're still talking about some big numbers, Steve. I mean, Facebook is 190 million, YouTube is 150 million, Instagram 140 million. There are a lot of people out there, Twitter, X, whatever, 70 million. But there are a lot of, the point is though, Steve, is that just because you have an account doesn't mean that you're paying attention to it.
Right.
or
Well,
that you
that's
have your notifications on,
so
or
so
yeah.
let me break this down for people. I am a small business. We are a small business, right, Matt?
Right. Yes.
And how many Instagram accounts do we have?
One.
No, we don't. We have we have Wilmes. I have a personal Instagram account. We got Podcast Center LA, Dollar Training Club. We got
That's right.
Ergo
I haven't
Selfie.
thought about those.
Okay. I think we have a total of 10 Instagram accounts. Okay. And when you sign up, you have to give a different email address for each account.
Right.
So they're when you look at 140 million, take out my 8. Right? And
Right.
it's an 8-1. Okay. This is where it gets interesting. Twitter reported having over 30 million monthly active users. 30 million, but they have 70 million accounts.
Yes.
So again, like our Twitter, how many Twitter accounts do we have? We probably have 10 Twitter accounts as well for each line of the businesses. So when we look at that, just because you got users doesn't mean that they're unique users. So when we look at unique users, it really drops down. And I got this great little chart here. I'm going to slide this over so everyone can see it. I put together this chart, and it's the one at the top of the blog post there, Matt, that just kind of shows like what's the breakdown of this stuff. Well, we see in the blue here over the 10 million, see the Facebook and LinkedIn comparatively to that number of users. And down here in the orange is our Twitter account users. But look to the far right of that, Twitter unique accounts. Take that small little block and you pop it against the over 10, and that's a really small percentage.
It is. It is.
Right?
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, none of these, I mean, every single section of this here is significantly smaller than the over 10 population number.
Right. So then I want to get into the really good stuff here, which is going back to, okay, how many people are actually subscribing or following to a particular channel. So we went on Twitter, we grabbed CNN, 61 million followers. That's a pretty good percentage.
Right.
Fox News, 24 million followers.
Okay.
And then we go to ABC, 102,000 followers. NBC.
That's it.
Yeah. NBC, New York, 356,000. Okay. County of Maui, 23,000.
That's it.
And Hawaii overall, 221,000. How many visitors go to Hawaii?
Oh, jeez. I'll bet that number is over 1 million. Yeah. Easy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always chuckle when I see this because, again, it's like, you know what? Yeah, that's great. We got all these cell phone accounts, but that doesn't mean a thing if people haven't subscribed to it. And that, and if you shoot out a tweet or an X or whatever they're calling it now, I don't know. It's like goes by in a half a second.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other part, Steve, is let's say you are signed up for the right account. Yeah, you are getting notices. I get notices on my phone all the time. I don't look at my notices until I stop and actually look at my phone. I don't have how many people are taking the time to make a special beep or sound for each notification. Who's gonna, I'm sure there are individuals who do that, but most people aren't gonna bother to do that. It's just gonna be the standard backup. They all sound the same. I could get an article, a local article about, a festival happening in a town nearby me at the same time as the sound that says, hey, your house is about to be on fire from a wildfire. It could be the exact same. And after a while, am I looking at my phone every single time my phone beeps? What if I have my phone on silent? What if I have no power and my phone is powered off? I
Oh,
mean,
Matt, you're into all the Hollywood what ifs. I mean, you're not just
I know.
wait, you don't work like this?
Yeah, hard to believe, but no, I don't.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
it's
you
it
jumped
like
into the
yeah.
next portion of this segment. Eh, and then or the
I'm
segment.
all over the place.
No, but it's good. So let's wrap up the stats, right? Stats are we got 300 million people in the United States. We got approximately 400 million cell phones. I know damn good and well that when I used to work for, not owning my own business, I had one cell phone. I had the business cell phone. That was it. Um, and then when I opened my own business, I I bought additional cell phones so that we could have a line for Joan. We could have, so now Joan's got a couple cell phones. We had a line coming in just for general questions, right?
Right.
So, and then our personal cell phones there. So, like one person's got a bunch. I don't
Yeah.
subscribe to any of those news sites. And so what it's saying is the numbers are skewed and you have to be mindful of that. So if you think that, okay, maybe on a school district level, you have an account and people are following it or not following it, they're probably more likely to because their kids are involved there. But on the
Right.
city level, the county level, the state level, you know, who knows how many people? And what it always cracks me up are these viewer counts. It's like, oh, this show got 2 million viewers. 2 million TV sets watch this out of 331 million. I mean,
Right.
2 million, let's just say four people to a household. So, you know, 2 million out of 100 million TV sets.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
exactly. Does
tiny.
this it's tiny.
It's tiny.
Yeah.
It's tiny. Super Bowl numbers are what, 60 million?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah,
now there's
around
a lot
there.
of parties and stuff, but still. So let's jump into the segment or the portion of the show where we really talk about the good stuff, and that is, like you said, Matt, uh, what are we doing during the day?
Mm.
And this always used to frustrate the hell out of me, especially when I worked for corporations and public agencies. Is I have a job and I'm expected to be
Right.
at my job and I'm expected to do my job. And it's the same thing like with Apple, right? There's unintended consequences and no one's thinking beyond. So
Right.
I would call and go, I need to get a haircut. Can you come in Tuesday at 9? No, I'm working. What about Tuesday at 1? I'm working. Do you have something late at night? Like,
Right.
is there something on the weekend? And it's just dental appointments, doctor's appointments. I get everybody's working, but
Right.
I would always say, like, hey, we're in charge of the insurance and we're providing this to 175 school districts. And I don't even know how many thousands of employees, but why don't we tell the insurance companies that they got to have some doctors with some late office hours so people aren't always missing work for routine stuff, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so here again's the issue, as you just brought up. You and I do training. If I'm in the middle of training and I'm doing a 4-hour training and I got guys up in aerial lifts and on forklifts, you think I can got my phone right here like this? If
Yeah,
I'm delivering a
exactly.
presentation, if I'm a college professor, if I'm in the school, if I am a student at the university, you're not even supposed to have your phone on.
Yeah.
So how are you
Yeah.
supposed to get these alerts?
Yeah. Is it supposed to break through your preferences for how you've run your phone and say, no, this is so important that I'm just gonna wipe out
Right. Even the
whatever,
emergency
and
alerts that now they push out, and it's like those I've turned off because again, I'm in the middle of stuff, right?
yeah.
And most of the time
Yeah.
it's amber alerts about someone out wandering around. Not that that's not important, but it's not an immediate impact on me. And then a lot of times it's
Right.
for stuff that's all over the state and it's not an immediate impact. So if it's that important, someone's going to tell me about it, hopefully. But go back. What happens in Hawaii? What happens at 6 a.m. in Hawaii?
Yeah, right. Everybody's, yeah, well, good luck if they're even getting up, right? Yeah,
No,
I
come on.
mean,
Everybody's up, but they're out surfing, man. Like,
true,
like
true.
so do surfers take their cell phones into the water? No.
No.
What about these companies that have policies against having your cell phone because they got sensitive information, so you can't even take your cell phone in because you
I,
can't take pictures of stuff. So you have that. Like there's a lot of reasons people don't have their cell phone, hardwired into their brain and getting these alerts all the time. Social media is a fine tool. Should you post on social media? Yes. But
yes.
to wrap up this little part of our show, you can't assume that even though 61 million people are following CNN on Twitter, that they are right then and there following it. It just doesn't
Right.
compute.
Right. Exactly. You have to ensure notification in a situation like Lahaina, like Maui, where a wildfire is occurring. You need to ensure that that notice is reaching as high a percentage as possible. And social media just doesn't. It's
Doesn't
not
get it.
enough.
It doesn't
It's
get it.
fine to use it as a tool, but you're going to have to use multiple communication methods, because social media maybe isn't going to work for Steve or I, but it might work for some percentage, right? But then maybe the alert that goes out, like the Amber Alert that Steve was referencing, maybe that works, right? Maybe even after that, you're still looking, okay, that's a certain percentage. Look, at that time, you might need to start sending first responder personnel with sirens blaring and with a PA system, or utilize the warning system as they had in Lahaina that they unfortunately chose not to use. There needs to be a wider alert communication profile,
Yes.
like of using multiple channels of
Yes.
communication.
Yes. 100%. And I can't say it enough. If you've gotten rid of your old analog PA systems, you need to go and think about putting them back in because the digital goes down and the internet service is interrupted, your communications are interrupted. We talk about public agencies, so many of them. I don't understand this either. I mean, I just think like, why does the federal government just not hand out the GETS cards to when you sign up, when you become a law enforcement officer? You should just get a GETS card. We shouldn't have to go and sign up for this stuff. So
Right.
here, you know, you have to have, as you just said, methodology 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We still put in our plans bicycles, handwritten messages. Walk that crap down to the office that you got to get it to if you have
Yeah.
to, right? All the way down. Social media
Yep.
is okay as one method, but primary method better be dependent upon the severity and immediacy of the incident. And like Matt
Yes.
said, what are they doing in Florida? Every time there's a hurricane, what are they doing in Florida? Mandatory evacuation. And you heard it on the news. They walk up to the person, sir, there's mandatory evacuation. I'm not leaving. But, sir, there's a mandatory evacuation in progress. I can't force you to leave, but I advise you to leave and then move on. And that's got to happen. And so if you're shooting things out on social media and you're going good enough, then you got serious responsibilities on your shoulder that you're going to have to live. That's all I can say. I I I don't think it's enough, and that's
Yeah,
putting it
I agree.
lightly, very lightly, as mildly and as what do you say? PC as I can make it. You
Right.
got to do more than social media, and especially with the push now for to keep kids off social media, get off the phones. It's going to be less. You got to go back to the channels.
Yeah.
It's got to be on the news, got to be on the radio, it's got to be on the emergency alert system, it's got to be uh, on the social media too. It's got to be over the PA, analog. Like some of these tools were out there for so long because they were so good. I mean, how many times
Yeah.
we drop cell phone coverage all the time?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, all the time. And it's just like, and you have to adjust. You have to be able to get your word out some other way.
Right.
So yeah, and then we're talking. I'm going on this trip, right? And I was talking to you yesterday, Steve, about how many areas I'll be driving in that have spotty or no cell phone coverage, and how, let's say, heaven forbid, I have a breakdown. What am I going to do? If I'm on a federal highway, maybe I could walk to a call box, but otherwise, maybe I'm sitting there with my thumb out, in high degree heat or in a severe emergency situation. Maybe it's flooding in the area that I'm in, and I need to get out, and I'm dependent, and I have no method of communication. You have to always have backups, ways of solving a problem.
Yeah. And
But,
what's funny is people will laugh, but I bought each of us a CB radio for our vehicles so that we could communicate on channel 19 stuff if we needed to, but also just so we could communicate with each other when we're out and about, like when we're traveling to certain areas or we're doing different work. I mean, we have our two-way radios and our cell phones, but that CB radio is very nice in the car
It
and
is.
stuff like that. So, it's is it old school? Absolutely. Does it work? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, think about your communication plans. And if you're really relying on social media, I would advise, I would do things a little differently and just make sure it's not the primary and only methodology. And get the word out there. That's great. But understand that, especially if you have younger generations, like I'm getting older, I'm Gen X, younger generations really push everything's online and digital and all this. And
Yep.
I say this all the time. Go back to the Millennial Project and watch how the old I forget the old general totally blew the new guys out of the water with flashlights and inflatable boats. Like,
Yeah.
you know, read up on it, and it's true, you know. So that being said, don't forget, hey, if you want any of our services, we're going to be offering 20% off for any new clients. We'd be happy to have you there. And don't forget to follow us here on the YouTube and our blog. We got a great blog. We also have Dollar Training Club and Udemy. And what else do we do, Matt? All kinds of stuff.
Uh,
We're trying to.
yeah. Yeah. It's I mean, we do, our breadth of services is so wide. Obviously we do training, but we do audits, we do inspections. We'll go over your policies. We'll ensure that your policies are up to date. We will work with you on your safety videos.
Yeah.
We give an option for all your people to actually come to an easy, cost-effective method to present training to get
I
your
should
people
have
up
put
to
up a
speed.
trigger warning for this sales call that you're doing. No, I was talking like social media. Yeah, but check us out. We're out there on all the platforms. We're trying to be a lot more active on it. If you got questions or concerns, send them on in. We'd love to hear them. You can always reach us at info@wilmes.co, and we will catch up with you shortly.